Joey McGuire and crew have revamped this Texas Tech football roster going into 2025, and they've done so with blue chip recruits on the defensive side and the offensive side of the football. In today's video, we'll discuss the strengths for the Red Raiders headed into the 2025 season and why it could be a total 180 and shoot, maybe even 540 when it comes to how good this defense could be in 2025. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast, and we're starting to enter those slower summer months when it comes to football news and men's basketball news. We'll get some here and there, I'm sure of it, but we're going to talk about overarching type stuff today in terms of Texas Tech football and four position groups that I think stand above the rest for Texas Tech when it comes to this 2025 roster. And I'll mention some in terms of why I think they've improved a little bit, but they're not on the list, or a position or two maybe I'm still worried about in terms of, hey, I just need to see it before I can believe it, right? But let's jump into the positives first, and this is the first position group that we will discuss, and that is the running back group. You can see it on your screen. I'm just on the Texas Tech football website looking at the spring 2025 depth chart as it stands right now. You see Quentin Joyner. Then you see Jacoby Williams, and you scroll up a little bit, you got Cam Dickey as well. That trio of running backs, in my opinion, will form arguably the best trio of running backs in the Big 12 this upcoming season. You've got the power when it comes to Cam Dickey. You've got the lightning capability when it comes to Jacoby Williams, not to mention the pass-catching ability. And then you added a guy in the transfer portal from Manor. It worked out last time he got a running back from Manor, Texas. Shout out to Taj Time up in Cincinnati. And Quentin Joyner from USC. He's kind of an everything back, right? And you look at Mac Leftwich's offensive scheme and how he uses running backs. I think these guys are chess pieces. You can move them all over the football field, most notably Quentin Joyner and Jacoby Williams. You got Cam Dickey, who brings that power aspect of it to the backfield. And Quentin Joyner, I mean, I'm so excited to watch him in terms of when he gets into space, he's hard to catch, just like Jacoby Williams. And I think there's multiple packages that Mac Leftwich will install where you see multiple of these guys on the field at one time, most notably Joyner, and then I think Jacoby Williams, and then obviously sprinkle in Cam Dickey as well. It is going to be an absolute nightmare for defensive coordinators when it comes to the play action aspect of things, because you're 100% going to have to respect the Texas Tech run game. And that's just going to make the windows bigger for B2, you know, in terms of Baron Morton out there at the quarterback position, throwing to those wide receivers and tight ends down the field. All right, we're going to switch on over to the defensive side of the football, and we're going to talk about linebackers, specifically interior linebackers. You see Bryce Ramirez on your screen. You got John Curry, Jacob Rodriguez. You scroll down just a little bit more, and you've got Ben Roberts. There's others like Trent Lowe, as well as Justin Horn. I can keep going, right? Wesley Smith. You've got a freshman, a couple of sophomores down there as well. Like, you've got some really, really good linebackers, most notably these two on your screen right there, in Jacob Rodriguez and Ben Roberts. Those guys are absolutely lethal in the middle of that Texas Tech defense, and they're the ones that are going to communicate, and they're going to be the ones that really navigate a lot of these new pieces, and we're going to be talking about a lot more of these new pieces here in just a second in the video. But I thought it was monumental for the Red Raiders to have Jacob Rodriguez come back. Remember, he was thinking about potentially entering the NFL draft. Instead, he comes back for his final season of eligibility out in the 806, and I mean, I think it's worked out for him pretty well when it comes to the fact that Texas Tech has surrounded him with absolute dogs, both in the secondary, in the linebacker room, just on the outside linebackers, and then obviously on the defensive line. But this group right here, I think, has the ability to be, again, much like we were talking about the running backs being a top trio of running backs in the Big 12. I think Jacob Rodriguez and Ben Roberts, and shoot, throw Curry in there too, and Horn as well. Like, this linebacker room for Texas Tech has the potential to be arguably the best in the Big 12. It's that simple, right? And Ben Roberts and Jacob Rodriguez lead that conversation for the Red Raiders, and they're going to be pivotal in terms of making sure that they get everyone in the proper spots in this new Shieldwood defense. I'm uber excited to see Jacob Rodriguez. I think he has, once again, another potential all Big 12 first team type season right there at the Mike linebacker spot for the Red Raiders. All right, we're going to stay on the defensive side. And, man, I'm telling you, this defense truly has a chance overall, right, to be the best defense in program history. This is, in my opinion, the most talented. Talent doesn't always win, right? But the talent is there for Texas Tech to win at a high level and be a defensive first football team. And it starts with a lot of these transfers that they've got. You see one on your screen right there in Romello Height. Of course, we're talking about the outside linebacker / edge group. You get Romello Height from Georgia Tech. You retain a guy like Charles Esters III, Dylan Spencer, right? And then most notably, you get a guy in David Bailey, who reportedly is getting damn near first-round pick type money from his NIL deal out in the 806. And I'm here to tell you right now, worth it. This is a guy, in my opinion, it would not shock me at all. And maybe this is, some people will call me biased on this. That's fine, whatever. If David Bailey has the type of year I think he's capable of, he could be a top 15 pick in the NFL draft next year. He is that good on the outside. This is a guy that has elite speed off the edge, quick hands, quick hips, can get out and cover as well. And his makeup speed and coverage is absolutely sick for a guy that is 6'3", 250. Okay, he is an instant game changer. And now you have to think about it from an offensive coordinator perspective on the opposite side. Who are you going to double on the Texas Tech D-line or the outside linebacker / edge group? You're going to double Romello Height? Congratulations. You got David Bailey one-on-one on the opposite side. Or are you going to double David Bailey? Congratulations. You got Romello Height on the opposite side along with others, right? Charles Esters, Dylan Spencer, right? And I think it was monumental for Texas Tech to go out and get guys like Romello Height and David Bailey, obviously from the standpoint of the pass rush just wasn't there last year, but also most notably, a lot of the guys that Texas Tech wanted to have be impact players on the edge this coming up season are coming off of injuries, or they just don't have a ton of experience. So now you can ease them into it, not have as much pressure on them. And in that situation, I think they're going to produce at a pretty high level. Again, most notably is Romello Height, David Bailey. You scroll down here, you got Terrell Tillman, you got Eddie Smith, multiple others. I mean, Charles Anderson, Braylon Rigsby, right? Like, you've got multiple guys that I'm pretty excited about, but the guys you need to know most are David Bailey and then Romello Height, the two transfers, Romello Height from Georgia Tech and then David Bailey as a actual spring guy in terms of a transfer from Stanford. All right, this is the group I am most excited about when it comes to Texas Tech football this season. I think this is going to be the game-changing position group for Texas Tech, and that is the interior defensive line. You went out and got a guy in Skylar Gill-Howard that I think is arguably the most underrated defensive lineman in this portal class, okay? Then you go out and get arguably the biggest absolute human you could possibly get in terms of biggest human and biggest impact proven at the college level on the interior of the defensive line from UCF and Lee Hunter. Again, 6'4", 325 seems generous in terms of he's probably a little bit bigger, right? You got Duda Banks coming back, a guy that I thought would be a starter and I thought would be a good one for Texas Tech going into 2025. Now he's going to be asked to be maybe the fourth, maybe the fifth best interior defensive lineman, and that is going to create fits for opposing offensive coordinators and interior offensive linemen of opposing teams for Texas Tech. You go down, you get A.J. Holmes Jr. You see Lee Hunter and A.J. Holmes Jr., right? Those two guys, respectively, Lee Hunter was number 1 in the Big 12 last season in QB pressures, and then you had A.J. Holmes Jr., who was 3rd. And when I say first and third, I mean specifically at the D-line, a.k.a. the D-tackle, nose tackle position. That is absolutely ridiculous that you go out and get those guys. You keep a guy like Jaden Cofield, right? And then you've got Amir Washington coming back, who you could play either on the outside as an edge or on the interior if you need to as the speed guy alongside the likes of a Lee Hunter or maybe Skylar Gill-Howard. I'm telling you, people, like, this Texas Tech defense is going to be absolutely nasty. And the talent is there, right? We know that. But maybe the biggest reason I am so like positive and sure almost in a damn sense that Texas Tech is going to be really good defensively. Again, talent's there, but it's Sheil Wood, the defensive coordinator. Everywhere he goes in the first year, that defense does a total 180. Okay, just a complete 180. You look at Houston. Houston was really bad defensively before he showed up there last year, and they were arguably, in terms of talent, the most overachieving defense in the Big 12. I mean, they were phenomenal, and they were the reason that really Houston even won some games last year, if we're being honest about it. And now he comes in and gets this absolutely war chest of portal guys, not to mention a couple of guys that return in, the likes of Jacob Rodriguez, Ben Roberts. Texas Tech, in my opinion, I know this is going to sound crazy to a lot of people because historically it's not true. This team is going to be defensive first. Like, the offense is going to be a complementary piece to this Texas Tech defense, in my opinion, with the talent you have on here. And it's not just one or two deep. You've got 3 or 4 deep at some places. I just talked about the defensive line. You go Lee Hunter, A.J. Holmes Jr., Skylar Gill Howard, Duda Banks, Amir Washington. Like, you've got multiple guys that you can go in a stable of them that you can keep fresh, and that is going to create fits for offensive coordinators on the other side. Shoot, I could have even put the secondary in here, but the secondary, much like the wide receivers, honestly, for Texas Tech, is kind of like a prove it to me type deal. I love Caleb Payday Douglas. I love Coy Aiken. I love the addition of Reggie Virgil. And obviously you get Micah Hudson back and yada, 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 as well as Alexander in terms of adding that to your wide receiver group. I like the wide receiver group, but they need to prove it. None of these guys have been a number 1 wide receiver in their career in college football. So to me, I think that that's where I'm at. And then when it comes to the secondary, you've got some really good players, right? Bryce Pollock's out there. You've got Darian Grant. There's multiple other guys that I really like in that secondary for Texas Tech, but it's almost a prove it to me type deal. But when it comes to the linebackers, the edge rushers, and the defensive line, I think the front 7 for Texas Tech is as good, if not better, than every other defense in the Big 12. Like, you're going to be a defensive-oriented team this year, and I think it starts with that front 7. Again, the strengths of this Texas Tech roster, in my opinion, right now are the running backs. Then you've also got, well, the linebackers, the edge rushers, and then the defensive line. I think those are the 4 groups that you are going to build success upon. And much like the secondary as well as the wide receivers, I think it's a prove it to me when it comes to the offensive line as well. I think the talent is there, but it's been finicky according to reports during spring. Maybe that's because you're going up against the best defensive line group in the Big 12. But again, prove it to me type deal, much like the wide receivers in the secondary on that front for Texas Tech. And for those interested, I'm not worried about Behren Morton at all. I think Texas Tech has one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12, and I've seen some of these lists that has Behren Morton down at like number 10 when it comes to quarterbacks in the Big 12. That's nonsense to me. They obviously don't know ball at a very high level. This is the healthiest we will see Behren Morton, and I think this will be the most talent he has been surrounded by quite a bit, and I think he's going to absolutely ball out in 2025. Again, those are the 4 strengths in terms of what I think are the biggest strengths for Texas Tech when it comes to positional groups here in 2025. Let me know if you disagree or agree down in the comments below. And while you're down there, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell to stay in the know on all things Texas Tech football all year long, whether it's on the gridiron, in the portal, or anything in between. We've got you covered right here on the largest group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube and the Back to 12 podcast channel. I'm RC Maxfield, reminding you, as always, to stay safe and Wreck 'em Tech.